I love this episode of Driving Success today because it's something that we don't think anybody teaches. I don't know where you go to find this information of where you are as a great CEO. How do you test yourself? How do you get scored on your CEO ability? Well, guess what? We created a test. We call it the Rhythm and Chaos Test, and it's yours free on today's episode. All you have to do is go to the link that's in here. But here's what you get. You're going to test out your leadership skills by answering 10 simple questions. The whole test is going to take you less than 5 minutes. Now, you can take the test on today's episode because I read all the questions, or you can download it in the link that we provide. You're going to total up your score at the end, and then I've already told you what the score means. Now, don't beat yourself up if it's a low score, and don't pat yourself on the back if it's a super high score, because if it's a super high score like north of a 90, the only thing we know is you lied, all right? The average person who takes this test scores a 39. So, it's an amazing episode to help you become a great CEO and a business leader and business owner if you take the time to test yourself, and the only time you need is about 5 minutes today. So enjoy this episode. We'll see you all down the road.
Author of The Grit, author of You Need More Money, founder and president of Commercial Fleet Financing, it's Matt Manero. The Driving Success Podcast, powered by Commercial Fleet Financing.
Welcome to the Driving Success Podcast, powered by Commercial Fleet Financing. I'm your host, Matt Manero, coming to you from our studio in Dallas, Texas. We hope you've been enjoying the podcast. The purpose of the podcast is to help transportation companies become great businesses. And you inside of that transportation company, whether you're an owner-operator with one truck or you're a CEO with 500 trucks, you need to be great at the game of business. And we hope this podcast is beginning to help you with it. Now, let me talk about something that I do as the founder and president of Commercial Fleet. I also am a co-founder of another business called Burn the Ships, and we put on business boot camps. We call them Burn the Ships business boot camps, and you can learn more at burntheships.com. And one of the key components about these boot camps, they're only a day and a half, and they're always in Dallas, Texas. Our next one is in January, burntheships.com if you want to learn more, is we require the attendees to test their leadership skills. Because we believe that most CEOs never really know whether they are a great CEO. They just kind of think they're a great CEO. Why? Because that's the title they gave themselves. How do you know if you're really a great CEO? And we believe you got to test yourself. So on today's episode, I'm going to literally give you the test that we give to the attendees at the Burn the Ships bootcamp. And you can take this test in two ways. We're going to create it as a download for you, so you can literally download this test and take it if you want. The whole test is a 5-minute test. Or you can stop what you're doing right now, because I'm going to read you the 10 questions. And after each question, you can go ahead and score yourself, and then you can total it at the bottom and you'll complete the test. Or you might even do it while you're driving right now and just do the math in your head. It's only 10 questions. You rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, total it up at the end, and then I'll give you the results. So let's get started. We call this your Rhythm or Chaos Test in the Burn the Ships vernacular in the ecosystem of Burn the Ships. So I want you to grade yourself on a score of 1 to 10. 1 means you almost never do this. 10 means you do this all the time, and you would totally agree with this statement as it relates to you as the business leader, okay? So again, I'm going to read the question, and you're going to answer it on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 means you never do this. 10 means you always do it. And 5 would mean I do it sometimes. And then we're going to total up the score at the end, and that will be your Rhythm or Chaos score. So let's get started. Number 1, under the topic of delegation. I have no problem delegating tasks and objectives. In fact, I delegate even the most important objectives often. Again, if you never delegate, that would be a 1. If you always delegate, that would be a 10. Let's go to number 2, time management. I rarely work more than 45 hours a week. And while at home, I am present and not distracted by my electronics or electronic communication, such as email and social media. I'm always distracted. You're a 1. I'm never distracted. You're a 10. Let's go to number 3 under the heading of business strategy. As a leader, I always spend 50% or more of my working hours on high-level purpose and strategic activities to benefit my business. Number 4, leadership. I am very confident that my business has the right executives and leadership team. I do not need to hire additional leaders. Now, if you totally agree with that statement, you'd put a 10. If you totally disagree with that statement, you'd put a 1. If you say, I got a couple good leaders and a couple bad leaders, maybe that would be a 5 or a 6 or a 4. You pick the number. Let's go to number 5, debt. My business and my personal life are both completely debt-free. Number 6, what we call values-based decision-making. Since business and life can be complicated at times, I realize that having crystal clear sets of values from which all of my business and personal decisions are made is vital. I'm confident that I have created a value system that I use to make all of these decisions. Now, you know, in some of the previous episodes of the podcast, we've talked about the importance of culture and core values. This is where they become important. Let's go to number 7 under the topic of stress. I'm never stressed. In fact, I can't remember the last time I was stressed out or reactive about anything occurring in my business. Number 8, accountability. Each quarter, I sit down with my leaders and formulate 3 to 5 quarterly objectives to all leaders and employees that include a bonus system based upon achievement. We then take the time to communicate these objectives to all of the employees for clarity and execution. Number 9, individual accountability. We have built levels of accountability down through our organization to all managers and employees. Everyone is accountable and has crystal clear objectives and expectations of their performance and results. Number 10, purpose. I feel that in my business and in my personal life, I'm on purpose. I also feel that my life has a clear purpose that fully aligns everyone involved within my life. Within my career, I do not feel conflicted with my purpose and my business. In fact, my business actually enhances my purpose. There are your 10 questions. The questions of the rhythm or chaos leadership test. Now, you're going to total up your score and you're going to write it down. And then you're going to circle it. And if you do the download that we're going to give you here, look in the link, we'll give you the download. You'll have all this, you read the question, you'll type it, you'll handwrite it in or maybe type it in, whatever, and then you'll give yourself the total. Now, here is how you grade yourself. Here are the results. Add up the score. This score becomes your rhythm or chaos score. If you had a score between a 90 and a 100, you got an A. If you had a score between an 80 and an 89, you had a B. If you had a score between a 70 and a 79, you got a C. If you had a score between a 60 and a 69, you had a D. And if you scored below a 60, you got a big fat F. And the F stands for failure. It means you're not a great leader. Now, don't beat yourself up over that, because when we give this test at the Burn the Ships boot camps, the average score is a 39. So these are people that have spent $4,000 or $5,000 to come to our event for a day and a half. They have to have $1 million in revenue or more. They consider themselves budding or reasonably successful entrepreneurs. We've had some people with $50 million in revenue, $60 million in revenue. Most companies will have 5, 8, 10, maybe 12 million in revenue. And these guys are making money. They think they're badasses, and they take this score, and the average score at the Burn the Ships ecosystem is a 39. These guys are struggling as leaders, but they think they're amazing. And that's the point of the test, to help you figure out where you stand as a leader right now within your organization, and for most people to recognize that you need to improve. Now, let me tell you the reason to improve. Because our experience is for every 10 points you increase your score, the rhythm and chaos test, you can receive up to 50% increase in revenue. So if you went from a 39 to a 49 and your company was doing $1 million in revenue, the odds are at a 49, you'd be doing $1.5 million in revenue. It radically can change the organization when you get better at these 10 topics. That's it. Simple. The rhythm or chaos test to allow yourself to test out to see how good or maybe not so good you are as a leader. By the way, when we give this test and anybody scores over a 90, the only thing we know is somebody's full of bullshit in that audience. Nobody scores over a 90. When I first took this test, I scored a 32. And I took this test a number of years ago, and I scored a 32. The last time I took this test, I scored an 80, and that was pretty good. That's a pretty high score, but it also tells me there's room to improve for sure. So you've now taken this test, or you're about to download it from the link that we give you in the podcast, and you're going to take this test for yourself. And if you want to learn more, you should come to Burn the Ships. You should come, if you're doing $1 million or more in revenue, you should come to the Burn the Ships event. Go to burntheships.com. But most importantly, you need to know who you are and where you are as a leader. And the only way you know that is when you test out. And on today's podcast, I just gave you the test for free. My gift to you. So again, we hope you love the podcast. We hope you're driving safe. We wish you happy holidays as we get closer to the end of 2019. And we want you to like it and share it and tell your friends about it. Let's build a little bit of a movement that helps transportation-related companies become great business owners. We'll see you down the road.
Thanks for watching Driving Success, powered by Commercial Fleet Financing.